For everyone that's watching, welcome. Thanks for looking at the presentation. I hope you all enjoyed it. We have now the Q&A with Karen van Luttervelt from Foundation We Are. And we're going to talk a little bit about what you just talked about, because there was a lot of projects coming by, and you talked a lot about like really what it's like to work in a collective and how people could profit from that, right? Can you tell first a little bit on, for example, because you work in a collective already, that's with a set group of people, right? Like it's not like it changes all the time, or?
Well, actually, the collection, or at least Foundation We Are as it is now, I called it fluid because everybody who works or who's connected to the foundation also has their own practice next to it. And then for some people, this means they sometimes join a project. For some people, it means that they're very involved in also the day-to-day goings-ons. And this switches, and also who is involved, because we started with this group of 8, and so of course this some people got busy with something else, but also other people joined who reached out and are sometimes involved, or maybe not in the capacity of the foundation, but we try to connect other people with the projects. So it differs.
And because at the moment these people are mostly designers, do you also have like people that are not from specifically the design community? Is it?
No, we that's maybe for the future question already. But at the moment we mainly have designers, but we are well, we hope that we get more people involved who are not just designers, or even have anything to do with design in general, because that's kind of the conclusion that I ended up with the presentation, is that we really see the value in connecting with people who have this other expertises, specifically, for instance, if you talk about human rights, that if you have some more knowledge of law and how that works, for instance, we see the importance in what we would like to have more people with that knowledge connected to the foundation. So that's why we do exhibitions or try to reach people in different ways.
I have a question from Ernst. Ernst, I'm going to ask you to unmute so you can ask your
Yes, I can unmute. Do you hear me?
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
Sorry,
yes.
I'm outside. The audio might not be ideal. So thanks for the presentation. I'm very interested in how you identify the topics you're working on, and how do you find your collaboration partners?
It's a very good question. How do we identify our topics? Well, like I said, we started out with the human rights, so that's a broad topic already. There's a lot to do in that, but maybe that's also a bit because of what is happening with social design in general, but we kind of put it broader and said societal impact. That's broad enough, but we try to define, we have a couple of topics defined that we are interested in, but we always, like, sorry, this is going very vague, but we always try to see with the people who are involved, who want to be involved, whether this could be a Foundation We Are project. So if we have a project about like the school, the education project, that could have been that's an issue that raises or talks about civic society in general, or education, or governance. But if we have something about healthcare, that we just know that, for instance, we don't have that expertise inside. So either we go and look for people who do have that expertise, or we say this isn't for us. There was a second part on this, but I forgot the question.
Oops, sorry. Please unmute yourself, Ernst. Sorry about that. There. Is it working? Sorry, some technical issues.
Something about collaboration, and I forgot.
Sorry, I have to do this via my mobile phone. I have to apologize. So when you let's stay with the example of healthcare. So when you have identified a potential stakeholder, do you approach them with an expose, or how do you do that?
Okay. Well, this also goes in a collaborative way. The healthcare is a bad example because that's something that we, for instance, don't do. But with, for instance, I Defend Rights, which was a human rights issue, we sat together with them a lot and discussed with them like what they have and what we actually what they would like or what they would achieve, and together with them we come to a kind of an agreement and see what we can actually mean for them and in what way we in what way we will work together and what we will do. So for them, for this, for instance, we became more as a partnership where both do their thing and both grow upon this work towards this idea of wanting to disseminate all these stories. Yeah, so it depends, of course. Sometimes you have an idea and you pitch it to a possible collaborator, but sometimes you have to work, most of the time you have to work together to find a pathway to continue on that.
Ernst, does that answer your question?
Yes, to a certain extent. I of course have another question, but I want to first let others. Okay. Yeah. So a project is per definition something that is limited in time. So once you have now found a collaboration partner and you have defined the scope, how do you end the project?
Oh, yeah. When is a creative process ever ended? This is a very good question, but I think with any project you try and at least set some kind of well, deliverables, but also some goals to say like we start this collaboration for these stories. So the deliverable, the end goal for now is this exhibition, for instance, or a book or a game or a workshop. And from then, because well, this is the design in general is this way of reiterating. And if you have this moment where you say, okay, we have this as an output, afterwards you will always have a reflective of an evaluation moment where you say like, okay, and how can we improve or change, or are there clear next steps?
And how do you do this? How do you take these decisions? Do you have meetings like milestone reviews, or?
Yeah, we have endless meetings or night. Yeah,
I can imagine.
Especially now with Zoom or Jitsi or whatever, we try to discuss it. But this is also sometimes you have to be clear, or like how do you say it? You just say, okay, we have to have a decision, or we have to say something by then, and if people are not available or it just doesn't fit, then it doesn't fit, or it doesn't go. So yeah, just a lot of communication in whatever way possible.
Yeah, so especially on that, now that you're in a very tricky situation, like you already talked a little about the US care, US care, is it US care?
Yeah, it's the uncertainty seminar. They like to call it us, the US care.
Yeah, exactly. And how that came into being during Corona times. But I can also imagine for you as a collective, like that brought a lot of challenges in working together, but also maybe some opportunities that you didn't see coming. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, well, I think to begin with, of course, it's we experienced all the same issues as everybody else. Like we suddenly couldn't meet. We used to have a meeting every other week here in Eindhoven, and people would join, and we would talk endlessly and see what to do and how to proceed. And then suddenly that couldn't happen anymore. And I mentioned also, for instance, in the presentation, the Eindhoven rights project, that was quite a big thing that suddenly couldn't go. So that was, yeah, not fun, but understandable. And in that sense, yeah, a lot of, because our work is so focused on getting together and collaborating, of course, that will. The Corona is influencing that, and the measures, Corona measures are influencing the way we meet and what we do. But then again, something like the US Care just gave us the opportunity to experiment with this and yeah, see how, even with, because the situation, you can't really change a lot in just by yourself, but you can change the way that you get together, or you can change the way to approach getting together.
You also mentioned in your talks that it's not specifically like, well, maybe I deducted this out of your talk, I should say it like that, that it's not specifically that you guys are looking, I mean, eventually the goal is to find a solution for certain problems, but it's not your main goal, right?
It's a bit double. Of course, you're always trying to find solutions, but I think, especially, well, the realistic answer with this is that there might never be a final answer. Especially when you start addressing immaterial problems like this, there's never, like I said, a project or a design problem or whatever how you framed it doesn't end with a physical, or an end product, or a physical produced product. It might end with a change of activity, a change of a system, or a change of relation towards other people or to other institutions. So maybe it might end there, but how do you see this, or how do you visualize this end? Yeah, that's actually a good other design question. Like, how do you visualize the change of a system, or how do you show that something has changed? Because it usually happens so gradually.
And I guess also you start with kind of like an open canvas on what the project can become, right? Like, it's not like you have this certain goal already at the end of your project in mind.
No.
You really go ahead, like how does it say? It develops while you're.
Yeah, and it spreads out as well, where you can have an idea, but you ask the same question to another creative or designer or a non-designer, and you end up totally on a different side. And both solutions might work, or maybe they need to have an overlap somewhere to work, or yeah. And that's then again getting back to actually having effect through that is by the collaborating of these, or the connecting of these ideas, and the collaboration between the people creating these ideas, but also the ones that create the space for it to be put out there.
You also have I mean, your products are also really engaging an audience, right? Like, they are really focusing around that. Can you also tell a little bit about the experience you've received back from people that you include in there? Like, how do they evaluate the products going? Are there things that they didn't expect up front that they now know? Like, is there really new insights for them as well? Did you get some feedback about that?
I can't speak about other projects, because I am like one of the members. I'm not involved with everything. I know in general how it goes. Some projects go, but for instance, the US Care, just because it's so new, or just so recent. I mean, yeah, people are most they are surprised, or what you find another like not surprised, but how verwonderd, enlightened, maybe a little bit, somewhere between enlightened and surprised, is that they're like, oh, sometimes you put a problem there and you offer a solution, and something like just an iPad with legs and eyes, people can respond to like, oh, this is the most obvious answer or solution. Why is it a solution? It's so obvious. So that's something that you get back often. But with something like an audio tour about very heavy, intense human rights issues, sometimes if people are not, their mindset isn't on to it, which of course is, they're free to have any kind of disinterest or interest in a topic. Sometimes they're just like, no, this is not for me. So it varies. Boring answer, I know, but yeah.
Oops, that's okay. Ernst, you have another question? Please let us know.
I have many questions, of course. You triggered me when you mentioned the challenge to visualize how a system is changing. So I work with complex systems, and I use various graphical methods to describe these mostly technical complex systems. Do you also use tools like that? And my second question is, you mentioned the fluidity in your team. For me as a project manager, it's usually most of my time I spend on establishing role clarity. Are you doing this in a more formalized way, or is this just happening during your many meetings?
For your last question, that last thing, it's just happening, and we are trying to formalize. This is an ever-changing thing. But for your first question, I'm very interested in this, like, how do you visualize it? I'm also a graphic designer, but once again, my answer would be like, it depends really on what kind of projects we do, where we have also an illustrator in our team, Daoon Lim, who is very good in making very small, quick drawings or visualization of an issue. But sometimes a project doesn't lend itself for an illustration like that, and it needs a big installation, or it needs a whole audio design, because that's also like sound, and the way that you tell a story is also very important. So yeah, and we don't have any specific tools for that. It's just we try different tools, but we also try to use our creativity for this, and to answer it like that. Yeah, and then for the roles, like I said, it depends also. Sometimes I'm with the Eindhoven Rights, I was a more project leader trying to coordinate everything, but then again, there's also projects where I'm involved in just helping with the graphic design, or creating something, or preparing something for print, or yeah.
Great. Ernst, was that a good answer to your question? You can just, if it's okay, then.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Okay.
Good. Good.
You can always also reach out to us, or
yeah, well, so I am actually trying to reach out to the design community to improve or maybe develop a new graphical language for systems engineering. I'm personally not very happy with what's out there, and
I don't know
there are
a lot
actually
about
some very interesting entities.
But...
Yeah. So there are some standards. Yeah, if you want, I can show you that. And I think there needs to be something done. This is kind of in the air. A lot of people seem to have the need for that, but it's not happening.
We can get you into contact with each other afterwards, if you want to continue talking, Aaron.
That would be nice.
Great. For you, like for the future, I mean, obviously the future now is a little bit uncertain, but where do you guys want to go with the foundation? Where would you like to be in 5 years, say?
Yeah, that's also indeed, with this situation, it's very unclear. And like I said, we are always a developing group of people, but for now, we want to focus on this place we have in Campina, because we think it can be a very interesting place, or place. The physical location can offer a lot for also people who might not be involved with us, at least for these first years, but we really want to know what else is out there and what kind of and what we really like to do is have that place become a little bit of a platform for social design, where people can meet and also get advice and give each other advice, and together build further on this.
And also, it doesn't always have to be like a one big collaborative, can also be
No, exactly. It's really that's the fluidity of it, to really have a more a space for where this can happen, and the exact shape we'll see. It also depends on what Corona brings us, or what the space gives us, or what the world gives us, and or society in general, and whether other people are even open to it. So, but yeah, really reach out to also these like the designers. We know how to talk to them because we are them. But the external, the experts with all the knowledge that we want or we think we can add to, we want them to be able to find us as well, or at least the community.
So that's also what you mentioned in your presentation. We're really looking for new people and to also help you enter these types of like sectors almost.
Yeah.
Besides.
Yeah, but and also develop this sector. Social design, for lack of maybe a better word, it's a relatively new sector, where outsiders also need to see, or need to be shown, or the realization need to be that the designers are valuable in a broader spectrum, not just with product design, but also in system design, or in government, or in education, or
I think already with the social design lobby that you have on next week, like that's, I guess, one of the first steps to also create more of the network of the designers here in Eindhoven. That might also, now with Corona, there might be some options coming that you might go look a little bit more international even. Is that an option?
So what do you mean international, as in the platform, or the connection?
Yeah, have the platform like grow out in an international level, more on a digital scale, I mean.
Yeah.
Or is that not really the focus?
I don't dare to say of course, I mean, but the idea behind the digital thing is already that, or the concept that it is accessible digital by the other side of the world. But for the moment, I don't think we're specifically looking wider than just the Netherlands. But I can't say whether this is something that we should do, or something that will automatically happen, or already it isn't an issue.
It's not right now, but it might be in the future.
Yeah, who knows?
All right.
In the end, it would be good to have it grow above ourselves and have it more the sentiment out there with the idea of collaboration. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, do you have a last request? Do you have anyone that you want to invite to join you in the conversation that you can do?
I have no idea. Yeah, I want to invite everybody to Campina when it's allowed again, or keep. Yeah.
Where can we find
time? Yeah, well, where can you find me? Well, for the social design lobby, there's a website, the socialdesignlobby.com or org. Sorry, I might get a text to somebody who's listening, but that's for the social design lobby, and then for the foundationweare.org. And if you follow us, every time we have an event, we try to share it on all our platforms, and the events are usually a bit low key, but also always to get together, have a beer, and before 8 now, but have a drink and discuss these views. And
great. Is there anyone who has any questions from our audience that is now joining? If not, I'm gonna give it like a second. I don't think so. Then I really want to thank you for answering the questions that we had.
Thank you.
And I hope everyone at home that's watching enjoyed our presentation and our Q&A. Next week we will be back again online, and we hope to see you there. So thank you for joining, and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you.